Good evening, everybody, and welcome in to Coach's Corner East on the 15th of December, a little over a week before the Christmas holiday, but it certainly doesn't feel like that outside. It feels like we should be talking softball or track or baseball or something along that lines, but we will be talking girls basketball tonight with Galion, Colonel Crawford, and Crestline High Schools. Show is brought to you in part by Lee Plymouth and Brad Seibert at the Plymouth Insurance Group at Galion and Bucyrus, North Central State College, Mansfield, and the Crawford Success Center, North Walnut Street, across from the courthouse in Bucyrus. Phil and Sue Schreck at Phil's Deli, just east of the Pizza Hut at the bridge in Galion. Coming up a little later tonight on the Crestline portion of the show, it'll be head girls basketball coach Lance Hood and the Lady Bulldogs to talk about what they're going to do to improve and notch a win or two coming up here as we get closer to the Christmas season. It'll be Kyle Fenner and the girls basketball team from Colonel Crawford joining us here in just a little bit. They've had a couple tough luck losses, so they want to jump back on the winning ways, so we'll talk to her and her girls about that, and we'll tip off the show here with the Galion Lady Tiger girl basketball team and talk about what they've done recently and what they have coming up as well. Show's brought to you in part by Steve Kurtzman and Associates at Innovative Recycling, 352 South Street in Galion, Candy Bolin of Bolin Realty, 2 blocks west of the Uptown Galion Square, and John Cross at Cross Carpet and Custom Floor, 302 North Seltzer Street, downtown Crestline. Head basketball coach from Galion, Shani Rush, unable to be here this evening, so a couple of very fine assistant coaches filling in tonight. And first and foremost, I'd like to welcome Carson early to the microphone. Thanks for coming out tonight and filling in. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
I'm sure you were looking forward to it all day, right?
Yeah.
Count down the hours. So humor me and at least say, yeah, you really enjoyed it.
I was ready since yesterday.
That's good. That's good. Well, I appreciate you and Coach Gary Burdine for stopping out. A couple of the girls, we'll talk to them in a little bit. Looking kind of at some past games, you're currently 2-5 overall, 0-3 in the MOAC, averaging just about 27 points a game, giving up about 42 points a game. And kind of look back almost 2 weeks ago, played a really good Marion Harding team, fell to them 54-23, and then a couple days later on Saturday the 4th, lost to Clear Fork 59-22. And the Lady Colts hit 3-pointers out the yin-yang, I guess you could say, 8 of them. Did you expect that when you kind of watched them on film and saw what they did, or is that just something they got hot that night and they just kept going?
We knew they do shoot the 3. We weren't expecting them to make that many, mostly to give it to their post player. But they just, seems like every team catches fire against us, and that was just kind of what they did. We weren't expecting that many, but hopefully it won't happen the second time we play them.
Right, for sure. Teanna Greter, who's here with us tonight, led all scores, 13 points. Natalee Perkins also here tonight, 7 points. Dezi Lester also here tonight, 4 points. And your freshman Cameron Eckert with 2. And then a couple days later, on Tuesday the 7th, you get another win. Beat Plymouth out of the Firelands Conference 35-22. I believe that's probably your second year in a row beating them, at least. I think you did beat them last year as well, if I remember correctly.
Plymouth?
Maybe not.
Yeah,
I don't think we did beat them last year.
Oh, didn't play. Maybe it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, they beat us last year.
Okay.
We got them the year before.
Okay. You're up 10-3 after the first quarter, 14-13 at half. You outscore the Big Red 13-7 in the third and grab the 27-20 advantage after 3. Again, Teanna Greter paced you with 13 points, Natalee Perkins 10, junior Dezi Lester with 8, freshman Cameron Eckert and Emma Jutz with 2 points each. And you had to be satisfied as a coaching staff to come off 2 tough losses to MOAC schools and then put together a nice win, a win that you guys needed. Talk about that a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's definitely, any win is good for us. But it was kind of rough in the first half. So we went in the locker room at halftime, made some adjustments, talked to them, and it's a lot of just them believing in themselves. So once we were able to get them to, believe in themselves, know that they can play with them, and they can set the tempo of the game, they came out and really did that in the second half. So we're really proud of them.
One thing I've said a number of times, that any extracurricular activity, I don't care if it's sports or the arts, is really an extension of the classroom. And in the classroom, the expectation, I'm sure, of the teacher is that the students respond accordingly. They may not be the greatest mathematicians or in chemistry or in social sciences, but if you see some positive response, that's beneficial to their overall makeup. Are you starting to see the response that you and your coaching staff are hoping to see from them through these tough times, but also the good times as well?
Yeah, we are. I know it's a little rough this season. We've only got 8 players currently right now that are able to play. 11 total, but 8 that can play. So they do get tired.
Sure.
But this group they just don't quit.
After that nice win against Plymouth, you ran into the buzzsaw that is the Shelby Lady Whippets, and they took care of business 60-18, so we're not going to talk about that one a whole lot. It is what it is. And then Monday night, go ahead.
I will say about Shelby, though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just looking at years past, I know we were kind of comparing our games, and we actually did better than we were at halftime and held them less than what they had last year at halftime.
Good.
So it's just something, yeah, we might not have got the win, but just little steps for us. So we just know that, hey, we are getting closer, as the girls put time in.
Yeah, no question, and that's good. I mean, that's the progress, and that's the response that we were talking about. Monday night, Mohawk out of the Northern 10 Conference comes over, and they defeat you 43-27. It was really their size and their physicality that forced a bunch of your turnovers and really dominated the glass with their big girl. And I'm going to ask Natalee and Teanna about this specifically, but she's a load, isn't she?
Yeah, she's pretty tall, and so she can. We definitely had to jump to try to get some rebounds where she didn't really have to much. We just don't have a lot of height this year.
Right. 6'3" Emily Klopp is who we're talking about. She controlled the glass defensively and had a lot of second chance opportunities. Mohawk led 14-5 after the first quarter, 28-12 at half, 35-18 after 3. And really, something that really surprised me when I was reading through the article is 2 girls for you scored all the points, 27 total. Natalee had 15, 10 rebounds, so double-double, 4 steals, 2 blocks, and Teanna, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 3 steals. And you kind of think, well, was the ball just going to them, or was there just nobody else hitting that night?
We had a lot of shots, we did, but a lot of stuff wasn't falling. But that's part of our game plans. Those are the averages that we told those 2 that they need to hit. But then Dezi, we're like, hey, we're looking for 6 to 8 points a game. Cam, 6 to 8 points a game. We just had Emma, the same thing, 6 to 8 points. But it's just that night, nothing really was dropping until these 2 were the only ones that were catching fire. So it's just trying to get them the ball. Yeah,
I can remember a few weeks ago, Colonel Crawford boys playing down at Northmore and Blade Tackett. That was where Northmore scored 1 basket in the second half. And Blade Tackett said, when the orange ball doesn't go in the orange circle, bad things happen. and I think you're kind of saying that same thing.
Yeah.
The object of the game is for that ball to go in that circle, and when it doesn't, you don't score a lot of points. Well, we will talk to the girls specifically about that here coming up. Our show is brought to you in part by Terry Gribble and Associates at your Galion Community Center YMCA, Dr. Erica Schieber, Bucyrus Veterinary Service, 222 West Mary Street, Bucyrus, Rod Steiger and Associates at Pizza Hut and Galion, and Bucyrus, host of our show since 1992, and Lou Ann Krebs at River's Edge Embroidery, Screen Printing and Signs, sponsor of our foam board T-shirts. And a gal that's probably wants to take my job because she spent more time on the show over the last few years than anybody, and I always welcome her back. Natalee, it's great to see you again.
It's good to see you too.
Shoulder feeling good?
It is.
Hasn't popped out yet
No.
since? Okay, you're
feeling strong.
Feeling strong. Well, you've scored some points here recently. 7 against Clear Fork that I know, and 10 against Plymouth, and then the double-double the other night. And when things like that happen, especially at double-double, Coach talk about this is the expectation for you, Teanna, for all of you. This is the expectation of what we want you to do. But on a night like that, where only 2 scorers in, does that add a lot of pressure to you to say, well, gosh, the rest of them aren't doing it. I have to do it, or we have to do it, or you're just okay with that?
No, it's usually, I have that expectation for myself every game, so it's usually just, I want to score a lot more on those games, but
Sure.
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
When you've gone through the stretch, got 2 wins now, Crestline and then to Plymouth, but of course you want to win games in your conference. It's a very tough conference. We talked about that the very first show.
Yes.
The MOAC is extremely challenging, but yet Coach has talked about starting to shrink it down. Even though the win hasn't come, the response has been there. You're starting to, you're not down as many by half or things like that.
Right.
And even though you only have 8 girls, do you start to see that it's starting to come now a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. The Shelby game's a good example. Just we were definitely hanging with them with their tempo, which is very nice to see. Just the flow that we have is way better than the beginning of the season, so it's really nice.
Do you get, and I'm thinking maybe not, but I want to hear it from you. Do you get response or feedback from the other team's players or coaches that, hey, you guys are starting to come. This is a different team. Do you actually hear that from them?
Yeah, for sure.
They'll say that to you during the game or after the game?
After usually shaking hands, yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, they're like, you put in a lot of work over the summer, you can see that.
Yeah, that's great feedback.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. Perfect. Well, thanks for coming out.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk again as the season goes on, and I always appreciate you have always good insight. Thanks so much. Next up is Dezi Lester here, and Dezi, thanks for coming again. It's good to see you. I know for me it would be hard, as if I were one of those 8, playing all that and running all that, and I would be done after the first quarter. Did you ever see the movie Grown Ups? And you remember when the old guys are playing and the guy's faking injury, and that would be me, like after 2 or 3 times down the court. But I imagine you're like the ever-ready bunny, and you just go. Do you get tired? I mean, you got to get tired, don't you?
I mean, yeah, but I have a quick recovery, so 5 seconds, I'm good. So,
So if Coach Rush spells you, what's the average time that you're out? Where you go sit for just a moment to get a blow?
Timeouts.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
30 seconds or 60, that's about it. is what we're
Yeah,
saying
you're
here.
a minute.
Pretty much about.
Free throws.
Yeah.
Don't forget about those.
Okay, all right. Well, there isn't much time for recovery. How are you? Because let's face it, you've had a lot of games. And I talked to Coach Burdine about this. You've had a lot of games prior to the break. How's the legs feel right now? You feel pretty good. You're starting to not get too sore anymore. You still have some strength.
Yeah, and plus I like to lift, so it's like I constantly move. I guess I don't know.
You lift a lot during the week.
Yeah, usually daily.
Do you
I'll
really?
Go, like not on game days, but I'll go like on practice days and I'll lift, and usually I feel fine.
Oh,
Legs
good.
are a little tired sometimes. But
Yeah. Is it more lower body or upper body that you're doing, or both?
more lower body because that's what I use more.
Right.
But
Yeah, because I'm really old, but back in the day, they always told the basketball players, don't lift upper body because it throws your shot off, right? All of a sudden you're lifting this heavy weight and then you got this lighter ball and you're wondering why you're putting it through the glass or whatever. So as you've progressed and as the season's gone on and the whole stamina and things like that, has your game progressed with it? Are you starting, even though may not get as many points, but you're not being asked to do that, do you feel that you're getting better and better and better?
Yeah, like last year, I don't think I had many points like at all throughout the season. I wasn't much of a shooter at all, but this year I had one game, like you said, that I had 8 points in. That's my highest scoring game, so I feel like I'm doing pretty good this year.
Good to hear. Well, continued success, continue pressing those weights, don't overdo it, and I appreciate you stopping out. Thanks so much. Finally, it's Teanna Greter, a senior as well, and first time that we've spoke this year, and it's good to see you again. And you've had some nice games here recently, 13 against Clear Fork, 13 again against Plymouth, and you and Natalee took care of business the other night. You had 12, and so all of a sudden it's starting to come around a little bit, the shots falling, things like that. Is it more of a position thing for you, being low and getting second chance, or what is attributing to your point production right now?
I think mentally, I think I have a lot more drive than I did last year or the year before that. So
is that because of maturity? And I don't mean that in a nasty sort of way. I mean a maturity from years of experience is what I mean by that.
yes, of course.
Yeah, just more playing time at the varsity level and understand. When you see a team like Shelby, and everybody in North Central Ohio knows who they are, they know the talent that they have, do you even think about that and say, oh gosh, I'm down 20 already because of the name that's on their jersey? Or do you just kind of put that out and say, next team up, it's whoever we're playing?
I was just gonna say, I think hard work beats talent. So it's like
Good point.
I don't know. I don't really think about that part.
Yeah, it doesn't even come into play, that might say Baker on the back of the jersey or whoever
Yeah,
it is, right?
it doesn't really for me.
Yeah,
anyways.
good. No, that's good, and it shouldn't. I mean, it's just who's on your schedule, and you go from there. We got some big games coming up. One primarily tomorrow against what arguably is a rival, right? We'll talk
Yeah.
about that. And Ontario, not to name any names, but it starts with Ontario. They're coming up tomorrow. They're a big rival for you guys, and an opportunity to get them at home. And they're down a little bit, only one win so far, so it's a great opportunity. And I wish you the best of luck. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
You bet. Take a break here before we talk to Coach Gary Burdine. Our show is brought to you in part by Don Barn Associates at Galion Building and Loan Bank. Matt Studer at Spitzer Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and Kia 1 mile east of the Richland Mall. And Mark Osborne and Associates at E-Crane International, serving worldwide markets from the Galion Industrial Park. Assistant Coach Gary Burdine here, and we were talking off air about the fact that Coach Burdine said he's been coaching so long, he coached Coach Early when he was like second and third grade. Is that really true?
That's true. We were talking, we think we've known each other for probably 31 years.
Is that right?
And I coached Coach Early at the Y when he was second, third, fourth grade.
Wow.
Had him for 3 years, I believe.
Wow. What's the drive to keep coming back?
The young ladies. I have had the opportunity to work with some people, some young people, that even at my advanced age, I will never forget. They touch your heart, and I think Coach Early would agree with that because of things that we've said to each other. But just the fact of the type of young people they are, the type of people that just don't give up, their effort, their heart, their desire, their drive, that's what keeps bringing me back.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and I love that response. And it's interesting because, be it a teacher or a coach, which is relatively the same job, one would think that the coach is making the biggest impact on the players or the students, when in reality, if you don't know, it can be the other way around. And you think about all the time that you spend with those individuals and the impact that they make in your own life. And then when you reflect on that, you think, wow, I thought I was the one doing the teaching, and then turned around, it was coming the other way. So that's the neat thing about that, I think. And I think you've really said that and really touched on that really well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if we watch these young ladies, and a great example was in last year in our first game against Shelby, I saw Nat do some things in our press break that the second time around, I introduced that to our JVs. And we actually did an admirable job versus their press, getting the ball in and getting it to half court. After we got across half court, we had some problems. Sure. But if we watch these young ladies and how they grow, we can learn a lot from them.
Good to hear. Well, you're going to be busy as we get ready to get into the holiday season. As I mentioned, tomorrow night, Ontario comes to your place, a team that sits at 1-4. Overall 0-2 in the MOAC, and a rivalry game, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and what when you look at them, what's the biggest thing that you and your coaching staff really have to control to help get a win for your team?
They like to get out and run and do a great job of penetration. I've watched them in 3 scouting films. They do a great job of getting into the paint, getting shots up, or dishing off and getting into their posts, who are both good scorers. So that's something that we have to try to keep that at a minimum as much as possible.
Sure, very good.
And then, how many times have we said boxing out, Coach? To help eliminate second opportunities, because most of their posts do a nice job of rebounding, even the third post that comes off the bench. So we have got to cut down second opportunities. If we do that, it's going to be a good game. Good.
Well, we'll look forward to that. And then Saturday, head down to Highland, now a league opponent. They're 1-4 and 1-2 in the MOAC. And then looking into next week, Christmas week, you go to Northmore, not too far down the road. And then after the holidays, right before New Year's, you go to Pleasant, who's playing really well, considering 2-3 overall, 2-1 in the MOAC. So a very, very busy schedule, trying to get practices in school. What, are you done this week or early next week?
I've been done since I'm in college,
Oh, that's
but
right.
they're done, I think, next week.
Next week. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't even go to,
No.
are you going to enter the transfer portal?
What is that?
Never mind. It's a college thing.
We're
Yeah,
gonna
okay.
we're gonna redshirt her, so we'll keep
Yeah,
her.
right.
Yeah, sure.
You're like a grad student.
Yeah.
You're just not, yeah. You
Yeah,
really
I'm
are.
like a sophomore in college.
That's
but
great. All right. One thing I did want to ask you, though, which is unusual, you kind of always look, especially girls basketball, I guess, because it starts a week earlier than boys, that kind of New Year's is the halfway break. Ideally, if you're playing 22 games, you should have 11 in around that. You're going to have more than half before the break. Do you like that, having more than half before?
No.
It seemed like it's really cramped in there, and then fewer. I think it might be, I don't know, 12 or something. Well, let me think. You got 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You're at 11, but I don't. Do you not have 22 scheduled this year? Is it just 20?
There's 22
Okay.
scheduled. I do know right before the break we're at the Mansfield Christian
Yeah.
tournament over
Oh,
there. We're
yeah.
playing New London.
Oh, okay.
I'm
All
not
right.
sure if that was on our schedule.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
So
So,
that's on there right. That's right. That's New Year's.
New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
so you go the 30th at Pleasant, and then New Year's Eve
Yep.
against New London. Wow.
So yeah, we've got a lot of games here before before the beginning of the year. So it is kind of rough, especially since some of them only get breaks during timeouts or free throws.
I
but-
like a lot of games.
Yeah, you do
I
like
like
it?
it.
Yeah.
But I know 2 of them were been on the cross country team, so
Yeah.
they've been well conditioned.
Well, when you consider too, your payday is your game day, you'd probably much rather play than practice. I'm sure if you're normal young people, you'd rather do that than practice. Well, good luck tomorrow night, first and foremost. Take care of the Ontario Warriors. Hopefully a big crowd out there can cheer you guys on.
We're trying.
And the cheering section and all that other fun stuff. I appreciate you filling in for Coach Rush tonight, and wish you the best of luck.
Thank
And we'll
you.
talk
Thanks for
again in the
having
future.
us.
Absolutely. Take a break here. We'll come back, talk Colonel Crawford Lady Eagle basketball right after this timeout.